Hey, greetings, everyone. Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, Senior Fellow at the Media Research Center. Sir Winston Churchill once stated, "Fear is a reaction. Courage is a decision." And I think we should remember that quote right along with the quote of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who said that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself, especially in these times when we see so much, fear, panic, paranoia, hysteria being created. But what I want to talk about today is just one simple word. That word is essential. Because it seems that the word essential means some things to some folks and a completely different thing to others. When I look at the importance of the word essential, it has everything to do with our rights, our freedoms, our liberties as individuals here in this constitutional republic that we call the United States of America. Yes, we're facing this crisis called the coronavirus, although I will continue to reiterate, I don't understand what makes this so different from the response to the H1N1 swine flu, or even the seasonal common flu, where in this season, we've seen 40 million Americans affected by the seasonal flu. Over 600,000 have been hospitalized. And sadly, we've lost some 40,000 Americans to the common flu, influenza. So far to date, with the coronavirus, COVID-19, we've seen some 140,000 cases. Sadly, we've lost about 2,500 Americans. But yet that only yields about a 0.05 to 1% fatality rate. So we need to calm down the panic, the hysteria, and the paranoia that's being created. But getting back to that word essential, because when it comes to all of the things that we take, so near and dear to heart, our liberties. It is interesting to me that even here in Texas, where we still find ourselves in Dallas County under the forced isolation and shelter in place order, that we had to ask, why is it that gun stores and gun ranges aren't considered essential? Because after all, one of our essential liberties is the Second Amendment. And it clearly states that the rights of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. We have that right. So I think it would be essential. But why is it that we have some cities, some governors that are saying that that is not essential? When you look at Los Angeles,
gun shops, nightclubs, bars, and strip clubs. So we have found out we're making sure that all these businesses are complying.
When you look at the mayors of New Orleans and also Champaign, Illinois.
Champaign, Illinois Mayor Deborah Frank Feenan signed a declaration of emergency to order the discontinuance of selling, distributing, dispensing, or giving away of explosives or explosive agents, firearms, or ammunition of any character whatsoever.
When you look at the governor of the state of Washington, they're saying that that is not essential. And they are forcing these gun stores and ranges to close. Thanks God, our Attorney General here, Ken Paxton, clearly defined that these are essential retailers. And I was able to go and have some fun this past weekend at my own gun range. Because it's important for us to be able to defend ourselves and protect ourselves, especially some people believe in their ideological agenda that it's more essential to release criminals from prison than it is to allow Americans to be able to defend themselves. You think about essential. Well, there's a lawsuit that Planned Parenthood has brought against the state of Texas. That lawsuit is against the fact that abortions were not deemed essential. But yet, Planned Parenthood believes that even in this time when we should be fighting to save lives, they should essentially continue to murder unborn lives, the preborn babies. See, I find that a bit hypocritical that here we have an organization that was founded by a white supremacist and a racist by the name of Margaret Sanger that is suing and fighting for the ability that they deem essential to be able to kill preborn babies while we're trying to do what? To fight to keep people alive. It makes no sense to me. See, I think the most essential thing that we need to come to understand right now goes right back to that quote by Benjamin Franklin. Those who would give up essential liberty for temporary safety will, in the end, not have liberty nor safety. I do not want to see us surrender so easily many of our rights, such as that First Amendment right that says we have the right to peaceably assemble. Governor Ralph Blackface Northam in Virginia just came out and, well, basically criminalized Christians who may seek to gather and have a Bible study, finding them with a misdemeanor 1. That means $2,500 or even up to a year in prison, in jail in the state of Virginia. We now have in New York City, Mayor Bill de Blasio threatening synagogues that if they don't comply, he will forcibly shut them down. I wonder if Mayor de Blasio would say the same thing about mosques. See, we don't need to lose our essential liberties, because if we trade them for temporary safety, and this too shall pass, we will find ourselves all of a sudden with neither the liberty nor the safety. I consider what is essential that we don't go about this with, as I call it, a carpet bombing technique, but we should be laser focused. Just last week, we found out that some 3 million Americans filed first-time jobless claims. 3 million Americans are now essentially not able to continue on with their way of life, their quality of life, providing for their families, providing for themselves, because of the fear, the panic, the paranoia that has come about with the COVID-19 virus case. Essentially, we need to think about this in a very logical manner and not see this as a means by which government can exert more power and more control over our lives. As Rahm Emanuel said,
you never want a serious crisis to go to waste.
And now we know that part of this stimulus package, this $2.2 trillion package that was passed and signed last week, well, it means that the Center for Disease Control will now be able to set up surveillance for the spread of the coronavirus. It's something about the word surveillance that I just don't like. Because I recall after 9/11, we created the Patriot Act and also the FISA court system, which meant that there are some people that are able to have surveillance and conduct surveillance against innocent American citizens for no reason. It is essential that as we go forward, we always put our individual liberties preeminent and not succumb to the fears that are created, because you will end up surrendering those liberties for just temporary safety. And we don't want to see those liberties permanently erased.